Hello there, everybody. I'm going to read this uh, passage on habit by William James. William James is known as the father of psychology. Habit is thus. So he's going to define this and describe how he understands habit. Habit is thus the enormous flywheel of society. You may be familiar with a flywheel. So it's something that cycles of society. So it's a bit like how money makes the world go round, or politics and religion makes the world go round. Well, he's saying habit is thus the enormous flywheel of society. Its most precious conservative agent. So he's saying it's conservative because it makes people consistent. People repeat their behavior very consistently, routinely. It alone is what keeps us all within the bounds of ordinance. So I guess the bounds of ordinance, well, when you look at government, they tell you what to do. They have expert advisors who make the rules and the laws, and they tell you what to do. I think nature also, the way God set the world up, also puts limits on us. So a kind of natural so night and day, the rain, you don't go out in a storm. All these things put a check on us as well. The natural laws of nature, but also particularly the societal laws and social laws. A lot of people have their own rules, the way they engage with the outsiders. Some people are very careful with their family. They don't want to have outsiders come in. They're quite prudent there. Anyway, and saves the children of fortune from the envious uprisings of the poor. So the children of fortune are people that are probably born into a higher middle class family or higher, and they have their own values and way of life. And it says here, it saves the children of fortune from the envious uprisings of the poor. So, I mean, the habits themselves of the different strata of society are kind of like, it keeps everybody in their own niche, as it were. So the poor people stay living in poor neighborhoods. They keep to themselves and they work out their own lives in low socio-economic areas. They're not mixing with the middle class or the famous people so much. It alone prevents the hardest and most repulsive walks of life from being deserted by those brought up to tread therein. So it means that, like say you're an people that get out of jail, go to jail, they'll tend to mix, they'll live a quiet life in their own community, and the people they grew up with and the people that they have been friends with, you make that social group for the rest of your life. And if it's a hard walk of life, you're with those people. And if you're in it keeps the fishermen and the deckhand at sea through the winter. So obviously, if your job as a fisherman working on boats, you'll go, where I'll find you on your boat. You'll probably be out fishing. Maybe I won't find you, but you'll be doing what you do. It keeps the fisherman and the deckhand at sea through the winter. It holds the miner in his darkness. So, if you're a miner, you're going to be spending a lot of time in the mine. It nails the countryman to his log cabin and his lonely farm through all the months of snow. If you're a farmer, if you buy a piece of land and you become a lifestyle block person, well, that's where you're going to be. For better or worse, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck there. I mean, it nails the countryman to his log cabin and his lonely farm through all the months of snow. I mean, the farmer may enjoy that life. It is a good life. Nevertheless, it's a habit. It protects us from invasion by the natives of the desert. Well, I mean, and the frozen zone. I mean, that's interesting because, countries like Afghanistan and some of those countries, they're pretty much going to stay there. They won't be invading America. They won't be invading England anytime soon. Those people in Afghanistan and some of those countries, they'll be staying there, and it's most of them, and it's habit. It dooms. I mean, the people in the frozen zone, they're not going to really leave there, are they? It dooms us all to fight out the battle of life upon the lines of nurture. See, nurture is how you're brought up in society. It dooms us all to find out the battle of life upon the lines of our nurture or our early choice, and to make the best. Well, our early choices. I mean, we've all made lots of choices. And there's an opportunity cost there. We've all made choices in our life. Things could have been different. For better or worse, things really could have been different if we'd have made different choices. And to make the best of a pursuit that disagrees. So once you've made your choices and you've made your bed, so to speak, you've got to live with that. Because there is no other for which we are fitted. And it is too late to begin again. So it's very hard to unlearn and re-educate yourself. It's much easier for them to stay with what you've already been doing. He says it's too late to begin again. This book was written 100 years ago, and that's now possibly not true, because people can begin again. It keeps different social strata from mixing. Well, this is it. If you belong to an association, a professional association, that's the kind of people you're going to mix with long term. If you belong to certain clubs and things, that's the kind of social strata that you're going to be with, and they don't mix with other ones. Already at the age of 25, you see the professional mannerism settling down on the young commercial traveller, on the young doctor, on the young minister, on the young counsellor at law. Well, this is right. And King Solomon says, if you train up a child in the way he should go, when he is old, he will not depart from it. So there's this real power there. If you get the influence of a family and the education or the experiences training on children, it has long-lasting effects for the rest of that person's life. And especially when you see it when they've chosen a career, or they've chosen something to be a musician, or they've chosen to be a builder. These things, they mark the person for life. And even at 25, you see it come. You see those learned traits or innate traits coming out. You see the little lines of cleavage running through the character, the tricks of thought, the prejudices, the ways of the shop, in a word, from which the man can by and by no more escape than his coat sleeve can suddenly fall into a new set of folds. You see this when people live in a country, they develop the accent, like Kiwi accent or Australian accent. You know how Australian women address men, they might go, "Hey mate, hey fella," and it's like an accent. Whereas what Kiwis might go, "G'day," or something. So it's not easy to escape from those conditionings. Anyway, on the whole, says William James, it is best he should not escape. So whether that's his opinion, that on the whole it's best he should not escape, I know there's probably a lot of people who are important in society that they don't want people to escape. On the whole, it is best he should not escape. I mean, but objectively, to me, that's not true, because I can see that some of us who have had a hard life and we've become something we weren't really happy with, we do need to escape and learn a new life and new habits. So I disagree with that. On the whole, it is best he should not escape. It is well for the world that in most of us, by the age of 30, the character has set like plaster and will never soften again. Well, it's obviously very difficult to reshape your character when you're 30. If the period between 20 and 30 is the critical one, I think he means important one for formation of intellectual and professional habits, the period below 20 is more important still for the fixing of personal habits, properly so called, such as vocalization and pronunciation, gesture, motion, and address. Hardly ever is a language learned after 20 spoken without a foreign accent. Hardly ever can a youth transferred to the society of his betters unlearn the nasality and other vices of speech bred in him by the associations of his growing years. Hardly ever indeed, no matter how much money there may be in his pocket, can he even learn to dress like a gentleman born. I mean, this is so true. This is so true. And that's also why compulsory schooling exists, to really get in while the values and the socialization and trying to figure out where these children belong in the world. And that's what the compulsory education has done to most people in the world. And it's only now we're realizing that, hey, that's not such a good idea. People can learn on their own and follow their own natural self-development and interests, and that we're able to learn on our own, and we don't need to be programmed as much as what the history of education's done to people. So this is all about habits, how defined by William James, described by William James. The great thing then in all education is to make our nervous system our ally instead of our enemy. Somebody we know read this sentence and they they scorned it and said, well, that's no good, is it? Because we know a lot of people have had psychiatric treatment. And he kind of was quite skeptical that he could make his own nervous system his ally. But anyway, it is to fund and capitalise our acquisitions and live at ease upon the interest of the fund. For this we must make automatic and habitual as early as possible as many useful actions as we can, and guard against the growing into ways that are likely to be disadvantageous to us, as we should guard against the plague. Yeah, so it's quite interesting, isn't it? I'll just flick through a little bit more of this and just see if I can find something interesting here. So this is still regarding habit. The strength of early association, like your times tables, is a fact so universally recognized that the expression of it has become proverbial. And this precisely accords with the psychological principle that during the period of growth and development, the formative activity of the brain will be most amenable to directing influences. It is in this way that what is early learned by heart becomes branded, as it were, upon the cerebrum, so that its traces are never lost, even though the conscious memory of it may have completely faded out. For when the organic modification has been once fixed in the growing brain, Anita, I was going to say your poem. I know a little turtle.
I know a little turtle. I had him in the box to swim in puddles. He climbed on the blocks. He stepped a mosquito. He snapped at a flea. He caught him and I but he didn't catch me.
Yeah, so Anita learnt that poem when she was quite young. So its traces are never lost, even though the conscious memory of it may have completely faded out. For when the organic modification has once fixed in the growing brain, it becomes a part of the normal fabric and is regularly maintained by nutritive substitution so that it may endure to the end of life like a scar or a wound. When I was a boy, perhaps 7 or 8 years of age, I was walking through the park with some friends, and one of them knew how to whistle with their fingers. And he tried to teach me how to do it. I tried to copy, and I was only 7 or 8. So, yeah, still got it. So, like, something, I learned that, and it just stuck there, and wow. Alrighty, so basically, this highlights something about habits. So this was all about habits. And I'll just leave it at that. Studied this a few times, so that's why I got a bit more comprehension of it. Cheers, thanks for watching. See ya.